Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Saturn in the 11th house in the natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the Saturn placements in the houses. They were a little bit concise, and some people may have referred to them as snappy. So what I decided to do was make another series on them, in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up as well, Saturn in the 11th house is comparable to Saturn in Aquarius, but naturally you got to blend in the zodiac sign. Saturn in Aquarius in the 11th house can be different than Saturn in Leo in the 11th house, as an example. Now Saturn is connected with the career, so the career may be one in which friends and acquaintances may figure prominently in it. It may be something very strongly tied into your goals, your aspirations, excuse me, social networking, computers, electronics. It might be one that's unusual, may involve astrology, aviation, astronomy, meteorology. And your career and livelihood may also be one in which you express a lot of selflessness and altruism as well. It may also involve stepchildren, if applicable. And it could also be doing something with human rights, such as working as a human rights advocate. And this is something where you could be very forward moving and not looking back, lamenting on, past career failures. You may have a very good attitude regarding your career in terms of moving forward and as far as your future goes as well. And now, Saturn in astrology is also associated with laborious work in industry. So if you have Saturn posited in the 11th house in your natal chart, it may be you may work hard, doing something, connected with humanitarianism or with friends, group-related matters, clubs. You may be, one of the harder workers, if you're involved in some group, club, or organization. And also, you may work very hard in terms of attaining goals and aspirations, going after your future. It could be doing something like an 11th house field, whether it could be, air conditioner repair, something with computers, electronics, aviation. It could be doing something with meteorology or innovation as well, astrology, astronomy. Those are some things that you may work very hard at. And now another thing about a strong Saturn in astrology, it's also connected with the father, authority figures, and older people. So, excuse me again, people. So if you have Saturn in the 11th house in the natal chart, well, it could be, where these people, may play an integral role, in money that you may make from a career or business. It could be something with, they may figure prominently in goals, your aspirations. Um, Also, it could be your future. These people may also be very eccentric, altruistic, selfless, considerate. And another thing is that, the father may also play, father, authority figures, and older people may also figure prominently. It could be matters with stepchildren, if applicable. It could be doing something, involvement with groups, clubs, and organizations as well. Now, Saturn in astrology is also associated with our restrictions, our limitations. So if you have Saturn posited in the 11th house in the natal chart, those things may include, there may be certain restrictions and limitations connected with friends, acquaintances. You may feel limited in society to some degree. There may be, the expressing ingenuity or innovation in doing things that are innovative. It could be, matters connected, with groups, clubs, organizations, the money that one may make from a career or business or livelihood. And the thing about this is, It could also be, where things are very limiting, just in matters, with social networking, the internet, social media in general. Not necessarily very limiting, but there may be some limitations to some degree. And just general freedom and independence, because keep in mind the 11th house does correspond with the zodiac sign Aquarius, so there may be some limitations in matters with that as well. Now, and just going after, goals and aspirations, you know. Now, Saturn also is connected with fears, inhibitions, worry, apprehension. So if you have Saturn positive in the 11th house in a natal chart, it might just be, simply, merging, integrating, or ingratiating yourself with society in general. Um, it could be, expressing innovation. It doesn't mean you necessarily can't express some kind of ingenuity, but you may be someone that's afraid of expressing it, due to, the ideas, whether it's being mocked or criticized or ridiculed, or whether, you feel somebody might sabotage the idea, as some examples. And also matters that are associated with friends, groups, clubs, organizations. Those things you may be more fearful about. Um, and also the death of the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. Keep in mind, this is 8 houses from the fourth, so it does reflect the death of the less dominant parent, again, which is often the mother. There may be some fear or apprehension in connection with going after goals, aspirations, or future in general. Um, Whether it's the fact that you feel that maybe there's lack of confidence in those matters, in attaining those goals and aspirations, whether you feel it might be a waste of time, or the effort outweighs the potential reward in your perception, as some examples. Now, Saturn in astrology is also associated with sorrow, it's dejection, despondency, sadness. So if you have Saturn positive in the 11th house in the natal chart, there may be more sadness that you have to endure in matters connected with your goals, your aspirations, anything, altruistic, altruism you may express. Again, going to, the death of the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. Now, virtually everybody experiences sorrow and dejection. If the less dominant parent, so to speak, dies, but the thing is, it may be more pronounced with this placement as opposed to many other astrological placements. Now, there also may be sorrow in connection with one's future. Matters that involve stepchildren, if applicable, matters with groups, clubs, organizations, society, the internet, social media, social networking, as some examples. And also, too, Saturn is connected with responsibilities. And the thing is, you may be somebody that at least feels that you have some responsibility toward your environment, whether just keeping it clean and safe or what have you. Um, Matters that are, connected with organizations, groups, clubs, excuse me, stepchildren if applicable, altruistic matters, humanitarian endeavors. There may be more, you might feel there's more responsibility just in attaining objectives, goals, aspirations. It may be that goals and aspirations, may be tied in with something that requires a lot of responsibility, such as being in some management position, being an authority figure somewhere. And another thing about Saturn in astrology, it's associated with chronic issues. Um, Keep in mind the 11th house does correspond with the zodiac sign Aquarius, so chronic issues may be tied in, the ankles, the shins, calves, nerves, circulation. It could be ones of an unusual nature. Can also be chronic issues may figure more prominently in the attainment of goals, aspirations, objectives, matters that are associated with your friends, groups, clubs, organizations. And even money that you may generate from some kind of business or career. And with Saturn in the 11th house, there may be greater propensity for drawing older friends to you. Ones that are mature, that are career oriented. You may desire to have structure and discipline in those matters. You may be a person that may focus more on just about having quality over quantity as far as your friends go in general. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.